Once upon a time, I had this dream of spending a weekend all by myself in the beautiful wilderness of Montana. The idea sounded amazing, surrounded by nature, away from the noise of the city. After holding on to this dream for years, I finally decided to make it a reality. So, I packed up my camping gear, filled my backpack with essentials, and headed out to a remote area that fellow campers had told me about. The excitement bubbled inside me as I envisioned setting up my campsite by the edge of a pristine mountain lake, surrounded by tall pine trees. The first day was exactly what I had hoped for: fishing, exploring trails, and gazing at the stars in the vast Montana sky. It was perfect. But little did I know that my adventure was about to take a sharp turn into something I'd never forget. On the second day, things started to feel different. The once serene forest suddenly felt tense, and I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. Every rustle of leaves or snap of a twig put me on edge, but I figured it was just my imagination running wild. As evening fell, I was busy stoking the campfire when I heard footsteps approaching. My heart raced, and I grabbed a piece of firewood, ready to confront whoever was coming. Out of the trees emerged a man in his mid-40s, looking disheveled and with a haunted look in his eyes. He told me he had been lost for days, running away from a group of people hunting him in the woods. It was a creepy story, and I felt a bit uneasy, but I couldn't just leave him alone in the wilderness. So, I offered him some food and water, and he gratefully accepted. As darkness surrounded us, the man's paranoia became more pronounced. He insisted we extinguish the campfire and hide in the shadows, convinced that the group pursuing him was dangerous. We sat huddled together in the dark, fear gripping us. Throughout the night, he shared chilling tales of the sinister activities of his pursuers, claiming they were closing in on us. I strained my ears, and as the night dragged on, I started hearing faint whispers and snapping twigs in the distance. Suddenly, a group of people emerged from the trees, their flashlights scanning the area. The man at my side froze, terror in his eyes. The intruders drew nearer, their words hushed but filled with menace. We had to act quickly. I whispered to the man, urging him to run deeper into the woods with me. We spent the night on the move, hearts pounding, senses on high alert, feeling like we were being pursued. At dawn, we cautiously made our way back to the campsite, only to find it in ruins, our gear scattered and destroyed. The man insisted they were just trying to rob us, but something felt off. We decided it was best to pack up and leave, not wanting to risk another confrontation with these sinister individuals. As we left the remote Montana wilderness, I couldn't help but wonder what had truly happened that night. The memory of that harrowing camping trip would forever be etched in my mind. A few years ago, back when I was 20 years old, I live in a gorgeous region, surrounded by lush forests and rugged terrains, a location. My closest companions at the time were Jack and Mark, my partners in crime when it came to outdoor adventures. Jack, like me, was a fellow Boy Scout, sharing my love for the untamed wilderness. On the other hand, Mark, though more of a city dweller, was always up for the thrill, injecting our trips with his infectious energy. The three of us decided on an impromptu camping escapade one late summer weekend, somewhere around the first or second week of September. We piled into Jack's trusty truck, no concrete plans in mind, just a desire to embrace the spontaneity of the great outdoors. By around 11 a.m. on a sunny Saturday morning, we stumbled upon what seemed like the perfect campsite. Accessible enough to drive the truck right in, the journey was a bit rough due to the rocky and root-strewn path. Luckily, Jack's truck boasted four-wheel drive, making light work of the challenging terrain. Andrew, our city-loving friend, wasn't too keen on sleeping on the ground, so he claimed the back seat while Jack and I set up the tent. Camp set, we delved into various chores, setting up the tent, gathering firewood, and, to my amazement, Jack even fashioned a makeshift table from logs and an abandoned piece of plywood. His Boy Scout skills truly shone through. With the camp ready, we decided to embark on a mid-afternoon hike, eager to explore the surrounding area. While the hike itself was uneventful, we stumbled upon a hidden lake with marshy shores, deciding to give it a pass. However, our adventure took an unsettling turn when we noticed fresh footprints that clearly didn't belong to any of us. Returning to our campsite, I was met with a jaw-dropping sight: an imposing hunting knife jammed into the center of Jack's improvised table, adorned with a piece of ominous yellow tape. "Hey, Jack, is that your knife?" I inquired, but his terrified expression spoke volumes. Someone had infiltrated our camp during our absence, and the implications were ominous. Without hesitation, we abandoned our camp, leaving behind the truck and all our gear. As we made a hurried escape on foot, a new obstacle presented itself. The tires had been intentionally slashed, presumably with the very knife lodged into our table. Sprinting through the forest, adrenaline pumping, we estimated a double-time journey to reach the main road. Miraculously, we made it to the main road just in time to flag down a passing truck. Andrew quickly explained our harrowing encounter, and the driver kindly offered us a lift. Relief washed over us as the truck sped away, but my moment of respite was short-lived. Glancing back, I saw a dark figure standing at the edge of the road, clad in a hooded sweatshirt and clutching the same knife we discovered at our campsite. The encounter left us rattled, questioning the motives of the mysterious intruder in the remote wilderness. To this day, the chilling memory lingers, reminding me that even in the familiar embrace of nature, danger can lurk, shrouded in the beauty of the untamed wild. When I was around 15 years old, my buddy Jake and I convinced our parents to let us join a summer camp together. Jake, being a camp enthusiast, had been attending for a couple of years, and I felt a bit left out during those long 2 weeks of summer when he was away. This particular year, money was tight in my family, and the idea of sending me off to camp seemed like a tough sell. However, after some persistent begging and pleading, my parents eventually agreed, deeming it a good experience for me. Our adventure began on an early Saturday morning as Jake's parents, who were already dropping him off, kindly agreed to take me along. The camp was nestled in the heart of a thick forest, with several log cabins scattered around a picturesque clearing. Giant trees, bubbling brooks, and crisp, fresh air made it feel like we were truly in the middle of nowhere. Upon our arrival, we were greeted by a group of friendly counselors, just a few years older than Jake and me. They were in their late teens, and we quickly bonded over shared interests and the excitement of the upcoming weeks. The initial days were spent on orientation, filled with basic activities like games, swimming, and canoeing in a nearby lake, the typical summer camp fare. My initial nervousness about being away from the city for an extended period faded as I caught on quickly and started enjoying the experience. As the first week at camp came to an end, the counselors announced an exciting 2-night hiking trip through the forest. We were to sleep under the stars, putting our newfound skills to the test. As we traversed through the dense woods, our counselors shared stories of their own camp experiences and a local legend. According to them, an escaped psychopathic prisoner with a wooden hand used to roam these very woods. Although I was skeptical, it added an element of suspense to our nighttime trek. One evening, after setting up camp, Jake whispered to me, "Hey, man, get up. I want to check something out." Curiosity piqued, I followed him as we silently sneaked out of the campsite. "Dude, I saw something a while back," Jake explained. "There's some kind of cabin through the trees." Our flashlights barely penetrated the thick underbrush as we ventured deeper into the woods. Eventually, we reached a clearing, and the feeble glow revealed an old, dilapidated shack. With its broken windows, hanging door, and a hole-ridden roof, it looked abandoned. Intrigued, we entered, only to be met with a shocking sight. The walls were covered in strange symbols and creepy drawings. Undeterred, Jake explored another room while I examined the eerie carvings. That's when he called me over, his face drained of color. On the floor lay a wooden hand. The discovery sent shivers down our spines, and without exchanging a word, we sprinted back to the safety of our campsite. We never shared the details of that night with anyone. Part of me wondered if it was an elaborate prank orchestrated by the counselors, but the more I thought about it, the less plausible it seemed. The fear and unease we felt were genuine, and the eerie shack left an indelible mark on our memories. As the years passed, the experience haunted me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we stumbled upon the hideout of an escaped murderer that fateful night. The secrets of that encounter remained locked away, adding an unsettling chapter to our shared history. Nearly a decade have passed, and the vivid memories of a camping trip with my companion still linger in my mind like an indelible ghost. This wilderness escapade, undertaken with my close friends Lily, Ethan, Olivia, and me, was conceived as a break from the rigors of city life, a chance to immerse ourselves in the untamed beauty of Michigan's rugged landscapes. As we loaded up the car and set off on our adventure, the anticipation was palpable. Our destination was a state park nestled in the heart of Michigan, promising lush forests and the kind of tranquility only nature could provide. The journey began as we parked our car near the visitor center, greeted by the prospect of untamed terrain and dense foliage. Despite the clock signaling 2 in the afternoon, the thick canopy above filtered out most sunlight, casting an enchanting green hue on the trail. The hike was not an easy one, the rugged terrain demanding our attention at every step. The dense forest enveloped us in a cocoon of greenery, and the anticipation of reaching our campsite kept our spirits high. 2 hours later, we discovered a serene spot by a glistening lake, the perfect setting for our temporary retreat from the urban grind. Camp was set up, a fire crackled to life, and dinner was cooked with a shared sense of camaraderie. Stories echoed through the night as we gathered around the fire, the stars above painting a cosmic masterpiece. It was the idyllic start to what we hoped would be an unforgettable trip. Our exploration continued the next day as we delved into nearby trails, stumbled upon another picturesque lake, and reveled in the crystal-clear waters. The afternoon sun cast a warm glow on our faces as we swam and laughed, the worries of the world left behind. As night descended, we returned to our campsite, cooking up another meal and settling in for an evening of storytelling under the vast Michigan sky. Yet, amid the tranquility, an unexpected anomaly unfolded. A distant light across the lake caught our attention. Curiosity piqued, we ventured towards the glow, only to discover a campfire on the opposite shore. Relief washed over us, thinking we had stumbled upon fellow campers, until our gaze was drawn to something chilling, a lifeless body floating eerily in the lake. A woman, her eyes wide open, stared blankly into the night sky, a macabre tableau that sent shivers down our spines. Horror gripped us, freezing us in place. Ethan suggested retrieving the body, but Lily, the more level-headed among us, insisted on preserving the potential crime scene. The realization that we were in the middle of nowhere, with no cell phone service and a potential murderer on the loose, intensified our fear. We extinguished our fire, buried the coals, and concealed our campsite in darkness. Across the lake, the mysterious campfire vanished, leaving us on edge. Throughout the sleepless night, we remained vigilant, every rustle and shadow triggering anxiety. We took turns keeping watch, our nerves frayed. Morning brought no respite, the lifeless body remained, its stark reality more palpable in the harsh light of day. Without wasting time, we hiked out and made our way to the nearest ranger station, where we reported the harrowing discovery. The police were summoned to investigate, but the evidence proved perplexing. Our accounts of the distant campfire were met with skepticism, as the rangers' records indicated no other campers in the vicinity. Weeks passed, and the case grew cold. The mysterious campers across the lake were never found, and the killer remained at large. The unsolved crime cast a long shadow over our lives, forever altering the dynamic of our once close-knit group. Slowly, we drifted apart, haunted by the memory of that fateful night. To this day, the image of the woman's lifeless eyes staring into the Michigan night sky lingers in my thoughts. I ponder who could commit such a heinous act, and the unsettling question gnaws at me: could the killer still be out there, watching and waiting for the next victim? The memory of that night, with its unanswered questions and lingering fears, continues to haunt me, a specter from a time when innocence was shattered in the Michigan wilderness. In the heart of the majestic Appalachian Mountains, I embarked on a solo camping expedition, drawn to the allure of a remote trail that had captivated my imagination for quite some time. Excitement pulsed through me as I left the bustling city behind, yearning for the tranquility and beauty that only the wilderness could offer. The first day of my journey was nothing short of splendid. The rugged terrain unfolded before me, and I relished the solitude interrupted only briefly by a passing hiker. We exchanged a nod, acknowledging the unspoken camaraderie of those seeking refuge in the mountains. As dusk settled, I found a perfect spot to set up camp, a small clearing just off the trail, complete with a neatly arranged fire pit. The crackling flames provided a comforting glow as I indulged in my campfire dinner before drifting off to sleep. However, my peaceful slumber was shattered by intermittent awakenings throughout the night, a common occurrence for me when camping. During one of these moments, I noticed a shadowy figure moving around my campsite. The unmistakable presence of another human. Fear rooted me in place as I observed silently, waiting for them to depart. Eventually, the intruder left, and I dared not close my eyes again that night. Morning brought a renewed sense of unease, uncertainty lingering like a fog. I pressed on, the once exhilarating adventure now overshadowed by the disconcerting encounter. Around noon, a mysterious man materialized on the trail ahead, only to vanish into the thick underbrush. Alarm bells rang in my mind, caution urging me to proceed with care. Hesitation gripped me as I approached the spot where the man had disappeared. Before I could react, someone lunged at me from behind a tree, a terrifying figure with disheveled clothes and wild eyes. Instinct kicked in, and I fought back, managing to break free and sprint away. Panic fueled my steps as I fled from the unseen assailant. Reaching safety, I reported the harrowing attack, prompting a search party to comb the wilderness. However, the elusive man remained elusive, neither dead nor alive, a spectral presence haunting the depths of the Appalachian Mountains. The unsettling realization set in that I had encountered a potential threat, and I wasn't alone in this experience. Upon returning to my normal life, the memory of that hike persisted, an unwelcome companion in my thoughts. The once enchanting mountains became tainted by the lurking danger in the shadows. Researching the trail, I discovered other hikers who shared eerily similar stories, glimpses of a man in the shadows, strange nocturnal noises, and even missing gear. The lack of resolution to this mysterious menace left me with a lingering fear and vulnerability. I made a conscious decision to abandon solo camping, forever avoiding that trail. The beauty of the Appalachian Mountains became a juxtaposition to the peril that hid in its depths. The image of those wild eyes and dirty clothes seared into my memory, a constant reminder of the potential danger that lurks in the remote corners of nature. It had been years since my cousins Ethan, Olivia, and I, fueled by the nostalgia of childhood camping trips, decided to embark on a new adventure. Our chosen destination was an obscure wilderness area renowned for its rugged landscapes and remote seclusion, a stark contrast to the bustling urban life we had grown accustomed to. Our journey to the campsite was an arduous trek, a demanding 3-hour hike that led us through challenging terrains and dense forests. As we delved deeper into the woods, the echoes of civilization faded away, leaving us enveloped in a tranquil solitude that resonated with the promise of nature's untouched beauty. Setting up camp just as the sun began its descent, we reveled in the warmth of a crackling fire, roasting marshmallows, and sharing tales of our past adventures. The serene ambience, however, was abruptly shattered by an unexpected disturbance in the distance. A rhythmic pounding noise, reminiscent of someone hammering on a tree, echoed through the stillness. Frozen in our tracks, Ethan's hushed voice broke the silence, what was that? Uncertainty hung in the air as we exchanged puzzled glances, pondering the origin of the mysterious sounds. Various speculations filled the air, ranging from potential encounters with wildlife to the presence of fellow campers. As the most seasoned outdoors enthusiast among us, having previously served as a camp counselor and received wildlife training, I volunteered to investigate. Armed with the sturdiest flashlight, I set off towards the source of the disturbance, cautiously navigating the moonlit forest to avoid disturbing any potential inhabitants. As I approached the origin of the sounds, a figure materialized amidst the trees. The dim light made it challenging to discern details, but it became apparent that it was a man, standing with his back turned to me. Concealing myself behind a tree, my heart raced as I observed the mysterious figure vanish into the depths of the woods. Returning to the campsite, I relayed the unnerving encounter to Ethan and Olivia, their expressions a mixture of fear and confusion. "There's someone out there, guys," I whispered, my voice trembling. "I saw a man in the woods. He didn't see me, but he was definitely there." The sense of unease lingered as we debated the implications of our mysterious encounter. Despite our fears, we decided to turn in for the night, with the crackling fire providing a false sense of security. Sleep, however, proved elusive as I lay in my sleeping bag, attuned to the haunting sounds of the forest. Throughout the night, footsteps circled our campsite, their origins concealed by the darkness. Paralyzed with fear, I resisted the urge to investigate, grappling with the unknown forces lurking beyond the veil of night. With the break of dawn came a tentative sense of relief. Peering out of my tent, I surveyed the campsite, revealing undeniable evidence of an intruder. Cigarette butts littered the area, and a disconcerting discovery awaited us: a hole burned into the cover of Olivia's tent, a disturbing mark left by an unwelcome visitor. Hastily packing up camp, our nerves frayed, we embarked on the journey out of the woods, haunted by an unsettling sensation of being watched. Reporting the incident to authorities upon our return yielded skepticism, dismissing it as the likely presence of passing hikers. Despite their doubts, the vividness of our encounter and the disturbing evidence left us convinced that we had stumbled upon something far more sinister in the heart of those mysterious woods, a secret that lingered beneath the surface of our seemingly idyllic camping adventure.